The third reunion episode of Love and Marriage Huntsville is coming, and it looks like the show is pulling out all the stops to bring drama. And no one is more controversial than Stormi Steele, who's been tagged as the special guest for this reunion. This has many viewers wondering, what does Stormi have to offer to the reunion that's going to make people tune in? The answer may not be what you expect. Stormi's storyline throughout the season has been questionable at best, and her sudden return for the reunion has left many viewers scratching their heads. On the start, Stormi's role on the show seemed odd. She didn't seem to have much of a story, and instead of contributing anything substantial to the ongoing drama, her focus seemed to be on the more explosive moments tied to others. Stormi did briefly address Martell's arrest, claiming it was due to a text message, but no one truly bought into that as a major plot point. She also tried to stir the pot by bringing up his alleged affair with Trish. But let's be real, what Stormi truly contributed was minimal. Her major grand entrance was her Valentine's Day event, which was hardly remembered by anyone. It's clear that her biggest moments on the show have been about her interactions with Melody and the tension that arose between them. When we think about Stormi's contribution to the season, what stands out? Maybe it was the girls' trip drama. But if we're being honest, her so-called grand moment was simply a situation where she couldn't handle Melody's lack of response to her constant provocations. When Melody didn't bite, Stormi quickly packed her bags and left the trip. That was Stormi's big moment, walking off, leaving the group in a huff, and that was pretty much the highlight of her time on the show. So why is Stormi coming back for the reunion? Is she truly bringing something of value to the table, or is she just here to add fuel to the fire? From what we've seen, it feels like this reunion is less about resolving anything and more about stirring up more drama. And let's be honest, with the low ratings this season and the lack of substantial plot lines, bringing Stormi back might be the only way to create a moment that will make people tune in. It's not just about Stormi, though. The real issue is the treatment of Melody and her supporters. Carlos King, the producer behind the show, has been taking a lot of heat from fans and cast members alike for how he's handled the drama this season. Melody's supporters, known as the Mellometers, have been consistently disrespected by the cast and by Carlos himself. It's hard not to notice how, despite all the drama and shade thrown at Melody, the people who claim to be against her are still more than happy to pose for pictures with her supporters when it's convenient. The hypocrisy is glaring, and it's obvious that this reunion will be another round of trying to gaslight Melody and her fans. Carlos King, as the producer, has made his own mistakes this season. He seems to be walking a fine line between trying to maintain the drama and trying to keep the peace, but ultimately, it feels like he's been more focused on keeping the cast at each other's throats than actually resolving any of the core issues. The Mellometers are constantly being disrespected, and yet Carlos has done little to stop it. Instead of stepping in and addressing the toxic environment, it seems like he's more content to sit back and let the cast tear each other apart for the sake of ratings. Meanwhile, the people who are truly dedicated to the show, like Melody, are left to fend for themselves. This isn't the first time Carlos King has been called out for not protecting the cast members, especially the black women on the show. From the way he handles editing to how he responds to cast concerns, there's been a consistent pattern of ignoring the real issues. It's become clear that the show is less about showcasing authentic moments and more about creating spectacle for the sake of views. And this is where Stormi's role comes in. By bringing her back, it's as if Carlos and the production team are trying to create one last shocking moment, hoping that it will generate enough buzz to salvage the season. But if this reunion is truly about making the final blow or taking down Melody one last time, it's bound to fall flat. One thing that hasn't been addressed is the constant disrespect that Melody has received from the other cast members. We've all seen how some of the cast were more than happy to throw shade at her, accusing her of things she never did, and even supporting Martell despite the fact that they all knew about his infidelity. It's disheartening to see how everyone rallied around Martell and his mistress, all while Melody was left to deal with the fallout alone. If there's one thing this reunion should be about, it's addressing the hurtful way the cast has treated Melody. Instead, we're focusing on bringing back Stormi to stir the pot further. Carlos King needs to realize that the real issue here isn't about making Stormi the center of attention. It's about giving Melody the respect and recognition she deserves. The show has tried to paint her as the villain in this saga, but the truth is, she's the one who has been consistently wronged by those around her. And instead of addressing the real issues, we're still dealing with petty drama and endless bickering. It's frustrating to see that even at the reunion, the focus is on bringing in someone like Stormi to try to humiliate Melody once again. It's as if no one is truly concerned with resolving the conflict. They just want to keep the drama going for the sake of ratings. At the end of the day, Carlos King has to understand that the fans are getting tired of this cycle. The constant manipulation of storylines, the editing to create fake drama, and the lack of genuine resolution are all starting to take a toll. If the goal is to create a show that feels real and honest, then it's time to shift the focus away from petty squabbles and start addressing the deeper issues. Melody, as the show's most prominent and successful figure, deserves better than what she's been given this season. Whether or not Stormi returns for another season shouldn't overshadow the real concerns that need to be addressed. If Carlos is serious about the show's future, he needs to listen to the fans and the cast members who are telling him that the toxic environment needs to change. It's also important to note that viewers are not stupid. They can see through the attempts to create drama for the sake of ratings. The fact that Stormi's return has been so heavily hyped up, despite the fact that she's been largely irrelevant this season, shows just how desperate the producers are to create a moment. But here's the thing, drama alone doesn't keep viewers engaged. Authenticity does. If the show continues to focus on creating fake moments and ignoring the real issues, it will only alienate the viewers even more. Looking ahead, it's clear that the show needs a major shift in direction. Whether or not Stormi is involved doesn't matter. What matters is whether the cast and the producers are willing to make the necessary changes to improve the environment and the storytelling. Fans want to see real, meaningful moments, not just sensationalized drama. If the reunion is anything like the rest of the season, it's going to be a disappointment. But if there's a chance for the show to redeem itself, it's by focusing on the things that actually matter. Stormi's return may have been a last-ditch effort to salvage ratings, but in the end, it's the real issues, the way the cast has treated Melody, the lack of protection for the black women on the show, and the toxic environment that need to be addressed if the show has any hope of moving forward in a positive direction. So, as we wait for the reunion, let's hope that it doesn't just become another example of drama for drama's sake. Instead, let's hope that the show can take a step back and truly look at what it's doing and how it's affecting the people involved. Because at the end of the day, viewers want to see growth, resolution, and real stories, not just recycled conflict for the sake of a few extra views. And whether or not Stormi plays a role in that, it's up to Carlos King and the team to decide what kind of show they want to create moving forward.